We're going to jump ahead to page 9. We're going to go to House Bill 4409. Senator Peters. Mr. Secretary, please read the bill.
House Bill 4409, an act concerning criminal law, third reading of the bill.
Senator Peters on your bill.
Thank you. HB 4409 alters the Adult Redeploy Illinois Oversight Board by adding representative from DOC, Human Services, Sangamon, and Cook County Adult Probation, and 2 members who've experienced the ARI system. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion? Senator McClure.
Will the sponsor yield?
Indicates he'll yield.
Thank you. So my understanding, Senator, is that this changes language from offenders, meaning people that have committed offenses, to justice-impacted individuals. I guess, what does that mean?
Senator Peters.
That means someone who's been impacted by the criminal justice system and is an individual.
Senator McClure.
Okay, so are you changing what victims are referred to? Are they going to be referred to as criminally impacted individuals?
Senator Peters.
Sometimes we refer to victims as survivors of violent crime, sometimes survivors of domestic violence. So we use multiple terms for a lot of different people for a lot of different things.
Senator McClure.
So are you saying the bill changes the word victims multiple times, or is there no change at all to the word victims within the legislation? Or is the word victims not in the legislation at all?
Senator Peters.
Well, we don't mess with anything in terms of the term victim. We just change offender to justice-impacted individual.
Senator McClure.
Okay, so as usual, the victims are left out. I'll speak to the bill.
To the bill.
Thank you. So there's been a tremendous rush in this chamber to take away penalties, take away accurate language to reflect criminal behavior, take away crimes. Most importantly, there seems to be this incredible rush to take away all accountability for people that commit crimes. If a person is going to get on the right path, they have to know that they did something wrong. And this apologizing for the criminal, the person who chooses to commit crimes, to the detriment of our victims, the people that don't choose to be victims of crimes, is absolutely incredible. And what's the effect been on these pieces of legislation? This is the latest example. Crime is up 38% year to date in Chicago from 2019. Now, I don't have the full statistics statewide, but I think we all can agree that crime is up everywhere. We have seen an incredible increase of drugs that have been snuck into prisons. Year to date this year, we're on pace for a record year all time. We are on pace this year right now, year to date, to break all records when it comes to offenders sneaking weapons in our DOC facilities. Guess what else is at an all-time high right now? The amount of attacks on our DOC personnel, all-time high. And yet, yet again, the focus here is on these poor offenders. It is absolutely incredible. And these votes matter. These words matter. You know, recently, we had discussions about the Prisoner Review Board. And on this side of the aisle, we talked about how this was going to be very detrimental to the state of Illinois, that someone's going to get killed. And now we've got a mom, Lataria Smith, whose son was murdered not by a justice-impacted individual, but by an offender, a repeat offender. And the lack of empathy for victims and the lack of concern for public safety is absolutely incredible. And that is showing in the statistics that we have to see every day. We see yet another victim. And through all these changes, change this, change that, the only thing that you don't want to change is the behavior of criminals. And guess who's paying for that right now? Victims all across this state. I urge a no vote.
Further discussion, Senator Martwick.
Questions of the sponsor.
Indicates he'll yield.
Thank you. Senator, where does DOC stand on your bill?
Senator Peters.
They have no listed opinion, but I will like to add that they are being added to this as a representative from the Department of Corrections.
Senator Martwick.
And for those in the chamber not familiar, can you explain a little bit about what Adult Redeploy does?
Senator Peters.
Yeah, Adult Redeploy is a program that helps folks. It's a diversion program and helps move people out of either anything that could be behavior that can cause them to commit a crime, or if they've been in a bad position, to help them essentially rehabilitate back to society.
Senator Martwick.
Are repeat offenders eligible for the Adult Redeploy program?
Senator Peters.
I'm not exactly sure if repeat offenders are eligible.
Senator Martwick.
I believe it's first-time offenders, and they have to meet certain criteria. And so this diversion program, and I became familiar with it, Senator, because my successor in the House of Representatives, Representative LaPointe, actually before she became a representative, used to work for Adult Redeploy. Do you and I apologize because this is not about the creation of Adult Redeploy. Your bill merely changes the structure of the board and then some terminology used in it, right?
Senator Peters.
Yes.
Senator Martwick.
But this program has been very, very successful at taking first-time offenders, and not everyone, just specifically eligible for this program, and giving them diversion resources, alternatives to be incarceration, and it has proved very, very successful at recidivism, reducing recidivism, and taking people who might otherwise be incarcerated at the cost of the taxpayers and turning them into productive, law-abiding citizens. Is that correct?
Senator Peters.
Yes, that's correct.
Senator Martwick.
And who is it that brought this bill to you to recommend these changes to make this program that's worked wildly successfully even better?
Senator Peters.
ICEJA brought me this bill.
Senator Martwick.
To the bill.
To the bill.
You know, this is one of those programs that I became aware of, sort of like, it was one of those programs that, especially during our budget crises, we would never be able to seem to find enough money, and yet it seemed like every dollar that we invested it, we got dividends paid, because it took people who were maybe on the wrong track and found a diversion from a life of crime into a life of productivity, law-abiding, tax-paying citizens. It's a wildly successful program. These are measures designed to make them better. We shouldn't second-guess them. This is a program that deserves our support. I would strongly suggest an aye vote.
Further discussion. Senator Bryant.
Thank you, Mr. President. I hope you hear that I said president, because I messed up again last week. Senator Peters, I'm kind of looking at some of our analysis, and what's mentioned in this is a grant program. So they're going to be grants that are issued. Is that accurate?
Senator Peters.
Yes, I believe we already do this.
Senator Bryant.
Okay, so are we expanding the grants, or we just have new oversight over those grants?
Senator Peters.
We're not expanding the grant, we're expanding the oversight. And I'll just repeat one more time. We're adding the Department of Corrections, adding Human Services, adding Sangamon and Cook County Adult Probation, and 2 members who've experienced the ARI system as offenders or justice-impacted individual.
Senator Bryant.
Thank you for repeating that again. I might need you to repeat some things 4 or 5 more times as I'm reading through this. So thank you for adding new individuals to it. I think that a previous speaker asked about the change in the justice impacted individuals phrase or term. So, so in that change, then would every document then that had that that reference have to be changed?
Senator Peters.
That's not specified in the bill.
Senator Bryant.
Okay. To the bill.
To the bill.
It might seem like a small thing. I mean, obviously, changing a term can have a positive or negative impact when we do that. But I would say that over and over again, we keep changing the names for how we are referring to those who are have entered into criminal activity. And each time we make that change, each agency has to make that change on every one of their documents. So right now in the Department of Corrections, there's multiple changes that have been made, and it's costing thousands and thousands of dollars just to do a name change. So I would ask, why is it necessary to make the name change? Even if the rest of the bill was okay, which I don't think that it is, but even if the rest of it was okay, the name changes may seem like a small thing, but it costs thousands and thousands of dollars to do that. So for that reason, I'm going to be voting no on this bill.
Senator Peters to close.
I'll just keep it simple. ARI is performance incentive funding. It is locally defined and controlled. It's generally cost effective and is a form of justice reinvestment. This is good public safety policy. I know we're getting hung up on a term, but I don't want to lose sight of the fact that we're adding the Department of Corrections to this bill. We're trying to make sure that everybody has an involvement in this program. I ask for a yes vote.
And the question is, shall House Bill 4409 pass? All those in favor vote aye. Opposed, nay. The voting is open. Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Take the record on that question. There are 34 voting yea, 20 voting nay, none voting present. And House Bill 4409, having received the required constitutional majority, is declared passed.